Where we started our herd with just Aslan and Jade, which you've seen the moving day from, we've had some additions. First, Presto came, and I didn't really make a YouTube video about him yet, even though he's been here for a month right now. He's lying down, sleeping. It's very cute. Because that move was a little stressful for me, not really for the horses, mostly for me. So in this video, I just wanted to update you and tell you about the moves, because I know moving horses can be a lot. So I also want to share my ideas and tips on it, tell you how we did it, what worked, what didn't, so you can, if you are about to move your horse, maybe get some inspiration from that. First, we're going to start with Presto, and then I'll introduce you to the other two horses that you might be able to see behind me. One behind the round pen and one already claimed by Aslan. And Jade and Presto are over here, where Presto is sleeping on the ground. So these two horses came in yesterday. So I'm very pleased that within not even 24 hours that they're already so relaxed, all of them. So first Presto came. The introduction with Jade went so well that I wasn't really tensed before. But then Presto was not easy to load, so it took him an hour and a half to get on the trailer, and then he had to come here. And it was a bit stressful for him. And then when he arrived, he was soaked in sweat and had a lot of adrenaline. So when Aslan, of course, Aslan is always the one to take on the role, to introduce a new horse. So Aslan came right away to the fence. And the first thing they did was the thing with the legs. And I'm not really the type of horse owner who gets scared of things that might happen, like wounds or anything, as long as they're just little superficial, small things that will heal out of their own. I know that there will be some kicking and some biting at one point. Also, even when Aslan is in a herd for a long time, you can still see that they're sometimes making each other go away near the feeding places, and there will always, or not always, but sometimes be a little bite with that. So you're always gonna have those small little wounds, also just with playing. So I'm not really that stressed about that. But what I am stressed about since last year Aslan got a kick with a leg with the front pawing act, and he had to go to the clinic. It was an emergency, because if he wouldn't have been in surgery within a few hours, then he would have died. My followers on Instagram know this because they've all helped me deal with that, because I did a fundraising thing where you could get a drawing of your horse, and that eventually turned into pets. I drew everything, hamsters, goats, and I loved every second of it. But it was also a lot, because I've drawn hundreds of your animals, which helped me raise more money than I even needed for surgery. So I was also able to give him a really good recovery plan with lots of treatments from a physiotherapist and with a trainer who helped us come up with a plan to get him back to work in a proper way. So it all went fine. Eventually he recovered completely, but I am still a bit scared, I realized when Presto came, of horses who paw. So most of the tension during that move was with me and with that trauma of mine. So we decided to walk with them together over the whole track, just to have Presto know the place and to have the other horses get used to Presto. And Aslan was full of adrenaline, very excited to meet Presto, showing lots of his macho behavior. And it made me a little insecure, because I was like, well, if they're already this tensed, should we release them? And the girl said, well, I think it's just in your head. And I know, because of course it was my trauma, that it probably was. So we decided to let them go, and it was actually fine. Aslan did really struggle with Presto's presence, because for Aslan this place was his and Jade was his, and now there was another gelding in his place. So he felt really threatened, and for a long time Presto wasn't really allowed to eat with them. But really, in a matter of days, everything went a lot better. And you can see just now, they're all napping, and well, Jade is also allowed to be with Lois already, so that's really nice. But there was a lot of macho behavior, but nothing to be scared of. All they did in the first 2-3 days was poo over each other's poo, and then smell, and then yell. And that was pretty much their behavior. So that really shows how much your own feelings can affect an introduction to the herd. I've also noticed this with my own introductions with Aslan in other herds, where if the people were tensed, it just wasn't going to go well. So it's really important to relax. That's also why yesterday I'll now go into Spike and Lois's introduction. And with Presto we did this as well. We put them in our non-horse area, our human area, the only place where horses are not allowed, but sometimes they are, of course. So what we did is with Presto as well as with Spike and Lois, we just left them in there. The grass is a little higher there, so they could just graze and arrive. This move was also a little stressful for them. It was a very hot day, and we already predicted that it was mostly going to be Aslan and Spike who were going to do the macho behavior, and the rest was just gonna go with it, as in leave me out of this type of behavior. And that's exactly what happened. We first let them calm down. We just sat on the benches and chatted, and that also really helped calm us down. Of course, I know as well, when you are the one moving, you also have a lot of tension, so it also helped their owner like relax and calm down. And eventually we also mucked the whole place, because we didn't muck at all these few months. So there was a lot to do. So that was really nice to just help them relax. So that's kind of how it went. So Aslan and Spike were mostly controlling everything, trying to fix everything with a lot of tension. But eventually Aslan was doing really great. I'm very proud of him. Of course, he was protecting his own herd, but eventually, pretty soon, he also just started eating here. And then Spike was also able to just graze there and really calm down. So that was really nice. And then eventually we started with Spike in the herd. And when we let him go, he instantly, because we thought it would be smart to do Lois later, because Spike was going to be most hectic maybe. But he instantly went back to Lois, to the fence, trying to protect her. He was not really doing anything to the other horses, but he was just trying to be close to Lois. So that's when we decided to also put Lois in. And pretty much they just created their own separate herds. So Aslan with Jade and Presto, and Lois and Spike together. And during the evening and also this morning, they started to they started to mix. So you can see now Spike is the only one separated. I'm not sure if you can see him, but he's behind the round pen. And then Presto is there, and Aslan is behind this trio, then Lois, then Jade. And all relaxing, all napping, all enjoying the sun. I can imagine Spike has some tension from being the outcast right now. But Lois is fully part of the herd. If I of course love to observe horses, but if I wouldn't know this herd and I would walk past, I don't think I would know that this herd was only a herd for less than 24 hours. Because they're just doing so well. There are really no stress signals right now. I'm sure that if they'll start moving around, Spike might feel threatened or feel insecure, and then he might do some macho behavior again. And then Aslan will probably try to control that again, fix everything. But for now, they're very relaxed and taking their rest, which they probably need. So I'm very happy with how this went. And even though when they were still with the wire between them, there was a lot of tension, all the tension was gone when we actually introduced them. And that is what I want to talk about in this video as well. Because with Aslan, I've had 8 barns in the first 2 years we were together, because we were sent away everywhere. Because when he was separated, he would feel so much tension and so stressed from not being met in his basic needs. He grew up in a nature reserve, so basically like a wild horse. He is not a wild horse, but he was left to be in a herd for a few years in his youth. So he really knows what it's like to be in a herd and to be met in those basic needs. And for him, being separated is just so stressful, so scary. He doesn't feel safe. He's not able to rest because who's gonna look after him? So when I finally figured that out and I just started introducing him right away, all those problems were gone. And that is, a lot of people say, well, you should never just throw your horse in there. You should always leave them out for 2 weeks. But with Aslan, and I'm sure with Spike as well, and the other horse owners also said, well, my horse as well, they don't deal with that very well. So separating them will just cause so much more stress than to introduce them right away after, of course, calming down a little bit after the move. And our introduction yesterday just proved my point in that there was so much tension between mostly Aslan and Spike when there was a wire between them. And when we just introduced them, that was all gone. They just very swiftly, Aslan said, "Ho, this behavior is too much stress, it's too stressful. You have to tone it down a little bit." And that was pretty much all that happened. And then, of course, after that, there was a lot of sniffing each other's manure, but also Jade and Presto just were over there somewhere, and Aslan would take care of it. Taking care of it as in he would try to meet with these new horses. And another thing I also want to add is I always ask the owners of the horses that are coming what they like, what they know about their horse that they prefer. If someone does say, I want them separated for a few days or a week or 2 weeks, whatever, that's fine. We can also do that. But for now, all of these owners were fine with introducing them right away. And not because I said so, but because they really believed that that was the best for their horse. Look at our beautiful herd. I'm not forgetting about you, Spike. I'll come to you later. So right here we have the OG, Jade. A beautiful sleepy girl. Of course, Assie, which you know. This is Lois. Lois is an 11-year-old quarter mare. A very sleepy one. How cute. Isn't this amazing? How happy can you be with some sleepy horses? This is Presto. He's a quarter mix gelding. Also very sleepy with a very loose mouth. And this is Spike. And Spike is a quarter gelding. So lots of American horses, because of course Aslan is also American. Purely horses. Yeah. And that completes our herd for now. Oh, his little lip is also loose. Hey, sweetheart. We've got a nice view over the herd from here. So then there were 5. Just 2 more and then I'm content. I want 7 because there are 7 days in a week. And I want to, every horse owner or for every horse, you get a chore day. So today's day is from Jade's owner, so she'll come in this afternoon to do the hay, pick the manure, and fill up the water. So I have 2 more spots. I'm gonna meet someone tomorrow and I'm gonna meet someone this weekend. But as you know, I'm very picky, so no guarantees we're gonna be full then. And they're both geldings, and Aslan really told me that he wants mares. So you can tell, gelding, gelding, and Aslan with his mares. But this is how I introduced, or we of course, because it's all together, we're all deciding together what we like and what we prefer. So this is how we introduced this herd together. If you have any questions or you want to learn more about my previous situations and experiences, because of course I could also make a talking video about that, let me know, because I do think, hold up, because I do think it's very interesting to learn about those things. Of course, Aslan is not the horse that he used to be. He is now understood. I now understand what he needs. And then you get this, a very happy, relaxed herd within 24 hours. I'm so happy about this. Okay, yeah, if you need any more inspiration or if you have questions, of course, if you disagree, that's also fine. You do you with your horses, I do me with mine. And of course, I listen to the horse owners that come here. So again, if someone says I want them separated for 2 weeks, that's fine. I just know that for Aslan that wouldn't work. But I also know that Aslan doesn't really mind if another horse is separated for 2 weeks. That doesn't matter. So we'll just go with whatever the owners and the horses need, because that's all what I'm about, listening to the horses. All right, thank you for watching, and I'd love to see one of your comments. Bye.